Yeah, see, this kind of like, now I'm thinking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's in front of you?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Why'd y'all price it?
So pricing at 690 is for strategy. And the reason we price at 690 is to create a sense of urgency. People see the house up the street priced at 700, and then they see ours and they're like, oh man, that is a damn good deal. So we got to get there. And then what happens is they get here, everybody else is here, and then that creates a sense of urgency. What are we going to make the offer at? So then in turn, we get bidded up, and we would make more by pricing it correctly at 690 than 700 than if we priced it at the max. 700, people would think, okay, is that house really worth a total of 700? But at 690 creates that sense of urgency, and then people want to win the bid. They want to win the house. So we might get 715 for the house based on pricing it correctly. And why is that? Why is that? Because again, the escalation, how are we gonna win this bid? So at 700, you might be maxed out. 705, people will think to themselves, well, it's kind of priced right at the top of what it should be. But at 690 creates that sense of urgency, and people come running. So then we have that opportunity to make more money on the sale.
So you think it's going to go for like 715 ish?
Hopefully, yes.
Why don't you just price it at that?
Yeah, 715. If we price it at that, the biggest thing is people, when they search for homes, this is one of the biggest things. People, when they search for homes, they search from 600 to 700, based on what their pre-approval letter is. Just based on just simple math. They could go from 650 to 750, in $25,000 increments. That's what most people, when they're doing a search on one of the apps, is they do it in $25,000 increments. Nobody ever searches like 709. Like, who searches for 709? I see some agents price houses 604. 604. Where's the 4,000 coming from? Why don't you just price it at 599 or 600 even? The extra 4,000 doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, why did we not price it at 715? That's hopefully what we get. Anywhere from anything over 700, we'd be, super happy. So the 690 is more attractive. 690, 700, it just sounds way more attractive at 690,000 comparison to 700. Think about that. And then again, at the 690 price, it creates the question, because the home down the street sold 700. The home down the street sold for 700. So that creates the question, well, what should this one sell for? Okay, well, let's go for 700. And then the next guy, he comes up and he sees the guy walking out, and he's thinking, ooh, I better go for 705. My wife really loves this house. So that's kind of how that unfolds. And furthermore, when you look around, we've staged, we've polished the floors, we've cleaned the windows, okay? We deep cleaned, we've painted, we landscaped, and we painted the deck. So you walk through the house, and as a buyer, I always put myself on the other side of the table. When I'm doing deals, I always put myself on the other side of the table. What's the buyer going to think? I represent a lot of buyers. So I would love to be the buyer on one of my properties. Why? Because I walk through, I look around. Oh, painting looks good. Wow, the floors are clean. Wow, the house is super clean. The deck looks in good shape. The landscaping, curb appeal, first thing, I walk up to the door. First thing, what do I see? I see mulch. I see freshly done mulch. I see pruned shrubs. First impressions are key. Why is that? Because I can tell when I'm bringing a buyer up to the front door, I can tell, hey, this guy takes care of his house. So automatically, I have trust that the rest of the property is going to be well maintained and taken care of. I have trust that other details in the home aren't going to be forgotten about. And I'm not going to worry to tell my client this is a good home to buy. So walking up to the house, the first impression, well maintained, is super important, because then that leads us into the rest of the home, and we have confidence, and we're going to be buying a new product. So all this stuff is done on my listings, and that once again creates better offers, faster sale, and a smoother process for my clients.
I got one more question for you. Was this one walking in sandal? Because you're already in the flow of it.
Yeah.
I saw this one on Instagram. Someone's stealing someone else's.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
How do you think that was?
That was perfect.
That was solid.
All right, so you're about to sell your house, and you have $50,000 that you want to put into it before you sell it. Where do you put the $50,000?
So I'm about to sell the house. I have $50,000 to put into the house. Where do I put it? Okay, so when I'm about to sell a house, I want to go over the basic things first. Is the carpet in good condition? Would I personally move in and live on this carpet? If it's in pretty good condition, we can get it shampooed and bring it back to life. If it's in so-so, stains, things like that, we got to get rid of it. We have to change the carpet. Carpet's one of the least expensive improvements you can make, and it makes one of the biggest difference. It makes it clean, it makes it fresh, it makes it cozy. That's what we want. We want cozy.
So how much would that cost if you're doing the carpet alone?
So for carpet, it could range anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000, unless it's a big home, unless it's a gigantic home. Then, obviously we got more involved. So then the next thing I want to look.
$5,000 left.
Okay, so 45. So I want to look at the floors, the wood floors. I want to polish them. Anything that's worn out, I want to replace those. We have a great flooring contractor that can replace them. We have another great contractor that we can polish them, bring them back to life, make them shine. We want the clients to say, "Wow, look at that floor. That looks great." Then we want to look at all the paint. We don't want any holes in the walls. We don't want any scratches, handprints from kids, things like that. We want to thoroughly paint the house. So our main goal here is to walk through the home, have the buyer look, not have the buyer stop and say, "Ooh, I need to fix that." So that's our main goal when we're prepping the house. Okay.
So you got paint and floors. How much would we cost on those?
Floors are like $600, a big house with a lot of wood floors. And that's actually polishing the floors and cleaning them, buffing them out. And then we want to check the windows, make sure the windows are clean. We want to look through the window. We don't want to see through dirt in the window. And windows are anywhere from $300 to $600, depending on how many windows you have. So we want to clean the windows. Then we want to deep clean the house. We want to thoroughly deep clean the house. We don't want anybody else's gunk or anybody else's filth in a house we're selling, because we want to sell to somebody new that wants to move in and not take that on. We want them to say, "Wow, this is super clean. These people are clean." So, and then after that, we want to look at the landscaping. We want to look at the deck, make sure everything's fresh. The curb appeal, coming up, the curb appeal, that creates a lot of trust. That creates my clients and myself to tell my buyer, "Okay, let's go in this house." If it's very nice, if the landscaping is tight, then we know the rest of the house has been well maintained. Because that's ultimately what we're trying to find. We're trying to find a well-maintained house that's taken care of by the previous owner, so we're not walking into a lot of work.
So at $50,000, we did $5,000 in shampooing.
Yes.
We did about $1,000 in window and floors. So we're at $44,000. How much is the paint costing?
Okay, so the paint is anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000, just depends. Painting is expensive, but painting is key. We don't want any crazy colors, and we want a neutral paint. We want to get a paint that everybody likes. Okay, so white, off-white, things like that. White, off-white. Things like that, because if people want to change the paint colors, that's something that they can do on their own. But we want to have a paint color that everybody likes.
How much is landscaping?
So landscaping is cleanup, mulch, pruning the shrubs, making sure the grass is in decent condition. So anywhere from $500 to $1,500 for landscaping.
So you got $30,500 left.
So $30,500 we have left.
Would you recommend reinvesting it? Is it worth it, or?
So it just depends. It depends. If we have something old like a vanity that's old and worn out, or we have some old countertops, we can change the countertops. We want to start with the additional money in the kitchen. Look at our appliances. The kitchen's the heart of the home, so we want to make sure our kitchen's in great shape. We can change some appliances if needed. We can do granite, and then we can look at the bathrooms, the vanities, the grout. Very important to polish the grout or re-grout. Not an expensive thing to do, but it's important. And that's.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's $50,000 well spent.
Yeah, not even 50. No, we don't need to do 50. 10,000 we can do a lot.
So let's say we're investing $10,000 here.
Yes.
Last part of this video. We're investing $10,000. How much growth can we see out of the $10,000?
So 10,000, okay. Majority of the time I don't invest over 10,000, and a lot of times that could include the staging. So the staging, after we do all this hard work, we have to get it staged. We have to paint the picture and show our potential buyers, how the layout is. I have a professional stager. She's amazing. And then she'll install all the furniture for us, and it'll paint the picture to show what the potential buyers, what the house would look like staged. So that's included into the 10,000, and so the reason to invest the 10,000 is, number one, we're going to price the home based on, our other comps. But when a house is presented in perfection, like we're trying to accomplish, that gives us more offers. More offers brings us an escalation in the price, okay? So once we get the escalation in the price, that's how we get back the investment. We sell faster. We're going to sell for more money, and we're going to sell probably the first weekend. If it's presented properly, if it's priced properly, and we're not going to have those days on the market. The days on the market is when you lose money, because how do you get more people in the door is you have to do a price reduction. So all this strategy put together and delivered gets the job done. Yeah.
And then I would say start with investing $10,000, just so we have a number.
Okay. Tell me when.
Whenever you're ready.
Investing $10,000 into your home will destroy the competition when you're selling your property. At this property, we've painted, we've polished the floors, we've cleaned the windows, we've shampooed the carpets, we painted the deck, and we did the landscaping. And then after all that, we packaged it up and did a beautiful job staging the property.
Okay. I got you.
You want to do it in front of the fireplace?
Yeah, sure. I got you.
Yeah, there we go.
3, 2, 1.
Investing into your property will destroy the competition. I'm at a home right now. We've invested about $10,000 into this property. We painted.
I'll